Welcome to the Success Ascent. My name is Pat Mancuso, the creator and host of our show. Today we welcome Mr. Asher Carr. Asher is the author of the book From Broke to Bold, a testimony into real estate through faith, family, and business. In our episode today, Asher shared a number of important points that would apply to anyone no matter where they are in their journey. He said, don't let your setbacks be what holds you back. And in his book, he talks about that journey. He says that be careful of the person you become in the pursuit of what you want. He also talks about how doors closed and then other doors opened. He talks about be willing to do whatever it takes. And then the last thing he shares is growth is about being vulnerable. I know you're going to enjoy the episode today, so on to the ascent. Welcome to the Success Ascent. My name is Pat Mancuso, and I'm the creator and host of our show. We are excited that you're with us today, and I'm excited that I get to interview a gentleman, although that I don't have a direct connection with, we have some commonality, and I'm going to share that with you in just a second. First, what I want to share with you is this, is that Asher Carr is a first-generation college graduate with a passion for serving people through the world of real estate and inspirational speaking. He's written a book, which we're going to talk about in just a second, and he's also a rising star in the company that I've been a part of for a number of years. And so, Asher, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, Pat. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here today.
So, Asher, I always say to my guests when they jump on, I say, that was kind of the Asher on paper. Tell us something about Asher that is not on paper.
Yeah, no, so much about me. So I'm originally from New Jersey, northern New Jersey. I live in the DC, Maryland area right now. And yeah, I had a thing for real estate investing at first in 2017, 2018. My wealthy father, really my stepdad, but he got me into it. And when I saw the opportunity to jump into the field full time and at an operations capacity, I just took it. And yeah, here we are. But I'm a graduate from Penn State. 2016 entrepreneurship major. Started off in finance originally for my first 3 years out after graduation. So I was a financial analyst and did work at Bloomberg, UBS, and all these other big companies I was contracting for. And now here I am. So doing a lot of things within entrepreneurship and able to connect with great people like yourself. So,
Asher, hold on. You look like you're about 23, 24, and you just talked about all this experience like you've been around forever. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting last 6 years. I'm only 20. I just turned 27. Yeah, 27 this June. But it's been a great year. It's been a great life so far. So, yeah.
Well, and you've experienced a lot, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So Asher, on our show, The Success Ascent, what we do is we talk with, business owners, entrepreneurs, highly successful folks, authors, and I always want to know, what got you started into entrepreneurship? What got you started on this journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I got to college, I was initially there for a hospitality major. My mother, she worked in the Marriott in Times Square, and I grew up within the Marriott. So I really wanted to go into hospitality, hotel management, and that was originally what I wanted to do. My sophomore year, I got into this entrepreneurial thing with some friends, and I just loved just learning about people's stories through sales. Because of that, I was like, I'm going to switch over to entrepreneurship. I felt there's more freedom to be myself, and there's a lot more opportunity through that platform. And so I went from the mindset of, why work at a hotel when I could just own one down the road? So that's where I started it. And at my school at Penn State, fortunately, there was a entrepreneurial program, and I ended up just connecting with that and was able to just graduate from there with it. So. I love the idea of entrepreneurship as what keeps the world going, and just working with like-minded people in it. It's just been very great.
So here's the thing. So I want to go back a little bit. That probably didn't just fall on you. Like there was somebody in your world when you were growing up, or somebody around you that opened your mindset or opened your eyes to that. Can you recall who that was?
So it definitely took some time up until that my sophomore year. But my wealthy dad, I call him my wealthy dad because my stepdad, because of, if you've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's kind of that same mentality, but my wealthy dad, he really taught me about wealth generation and just the personal development aspect, where I really just started going on my pretty much halfway through my career in college. And he was really dedicated for my younger brother and I to just really think outside the box, to really just think about entrepreneurship and how to understand wealth generation and everything like that. So when actually in third grade, he actually started pushing Rich Dad Poor Dad on us, and he actually got our, the cash flow for kids game and everything. In third grade, I wasn't picking it up, but when I started connecting with with my friends at the time that got into entrepreneurship, that they were quoting Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm like, oh wait, this looks familiar. What is all this? And then that's when I started discovering Jim Rohn. He was a big Proctor guy, so going off that material, Tony Robbins and everything like that, and everything just kind of fell into place. So it really resonated with me, and I had this feeling of like I needed to grow, and everything just kind of just worked itself out from there. So yeah, had it in for a while, but it took some time to actually realize it.
Well, you said, you mentioned a number of names, and what's interesting is that, you're a part of Keller Williams, and obviously I've been a part of Keller Williams for a long time. And I remember meeting with Gary Keller in one of the first books that he encouraged me to read, even before I became a part of Keller Williams, was Cash Flow Quadrant. And, foundationally, as part of our profit sharing in our company, it made so much sense to do that. And then, you mentioned some other people, other mentors, and, I'm not sure, this is going to be fun. So it's a little joke. I'm not sure people your age, some of those names you mentioned, would even know who those folks are, right? But,
yeah, very small circle, very small circle.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just highly successful people, right? I mean,
right.
Just highly successful people. So, let's go back to your journey, and let me show. I want to show the book. So your book is out. Ironically, it's coming out tomorrow. I mean, we're doing this today. People will listen to the podcast at some point in the future. Today is July 6th, and so when the podcast comes out, it'll probably be a week from now, and the book will be out by then. And so from broke to bold, and we're going to get in the book in just a second. But I want to ask you, why did you decide to write the book? I always want to know from authors, like, what everybody wants to write a book. You actually did it. Tell me why.
Yeah. So in the beginning of the book, chapter 1, I mean, it really stemmed from being let go from my last job in finance. I still to this day, I don't know why. But I realized that day that it happened, when I went home and just was taken in the day, I realized that it was a year from when I wanted to have my wedding and to marry my fiance at the time. And I just felt like it was like coincidental that, all right, cool, I just lost my job and I just solidified a date to get married a year away from now. I feel like there's like a testimony in the making here. So it was at that moment I realized, I'm going to write a book. It was just a matter of when I was going to start that process. And I didn't really start writing until the pandemic, really. So right. I was just mainly journaling. And with the pandemic, just last year, I had that, we all had that extra time, and I was really just doing a chapter a day. I got to a point where I was writing in real time. So, which was like toward the end of the book. But yeah, I mean, it was something I didn't think I would write a book, period. Didn't think I was that like creative to do it, but I just, I feel like everyone has that story they could tell and actually put in book form. It's just a matter of how to do it. And doing it from a self-publishing standpoint, it was a very humbling experience to learn everything to get it where it's at right now. I have a copy right here too, so that's why I'm looking over here. But it was just it was just an eye-opening process to kind of just share my story. And I felt like it just needed to be told, because there's definitely a lot of people that need to hear some form of like failure to success type of thing. And this was it for me. So.
Well, you said something. I remember reading this in the book where, they brought you into the office and told you that was your last day. And, it's interesting that you mentioned that again. And the fact is, it didn't matter to you that it was your last day. However, you still wonder, like, what was the deal, right?
Yeah.
And yet here you are today. And if that door wouldn't have closed, this door wouldn't have opened. So, it's interesting from that perspective. So let's talk about, you said the book and you self-published it, which is, an amazing feat in itself. What did you find was the most challenging to do that? And then how did you break through that challenge?
I think the challenging part in the whole process was the editing process. Like when I finished it toward the end of last summer, I went away from the manuscript for like a month or two. It was, because you don't really realize how much energy you put into it until you actually look at the full thing. And the editing, it just took some time, just because I wanted to make sure the story flowed well.
Right.
And it was just about, just making sure, like I just wrote, as I was doing each chapter in the manuscript, I just wrote it. Like I didn't have anything, like, of course it's in chronological order. Like each chapter, as you know, is dated.
Right.
But other than that, I just kind of just wrote whatever was on my heart at that time and just recollecting everything. But just making sure that everything just made sense and that the emotions and the message was being shared through the book. Because it's tough. Like there's no audio for this, and I'll probably do that for the next book. But there's like no audio for this to really share my emotion of what was going on at that time. But like if it's written in a way where people can pick it up
right.
as soon as they read it, then I've accomplished that. So that was definitely the challenging part. Other than that, it was a really fun process. Almost everything was coming together for it.
Sure. Well, so let's talk about, first of all, the book itself. So From Broke to Bold, and for those that are listening that may not know what BOLD is or what it stood for, so within Keller Williams, the MAPS was the coaching division inside of Keller Williams, and inside of that division, a program was created basically in 2009 at the downturn of the market, and it was called BOLD, the Business Objective of Life by Design. Arguably one of the most successful training programs ever in any industry. I'll be off on this number a little bit, but collectively on the in-room events and then digital events, well over 200,000 people have gone through that program. Many people, many times through the program. I was fortunate enough to be a part of that program for over 10 years. And so the premise of the program was very simply this: we all have more potential, and our limiting beliefs and the things that we think and our experiences hold us back. And so over 7 weeks, the program would help people break through those ceilings, break through those limiting beliefs. And many were in real estate, yet there were many people outside of real estate: mortgage, title, insurance. Heck, Asher, I had a mortician in a room at one point, and you're thinking, like, what would they be doing in that room? Well, they still need to lead generate, right?
Right.
Right. So you go, as you're talking in your book, in the book as part of the journey, you ultimately took the program, and so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how it impacted your life. But I want to ask you a part of the book, because when I read it, I underlined it because I thought it was so cool how you responded. So if I did any of this wrong, let me know.
No, you're fine.
You're on your journey, right? And you're interviewing now after you had lost your position, and you're interviewing with different opportunities. And somebody asked you this question. They were going to do some research on you, do some kind of background on you. And basically the person who was doing it, was asking you about, like, what would be a concern for me if I called so-and-so? And you responded, and I loved your response. You said, well, sir, a new hire's potential lies in the loyalty, and they are an investment in the eyes of leadership. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So if you actually look at my resume, I guess I was one of those young guns that was going from place to place. Like I wasn't at one place for, if anything, more than 6 months. It was because I was doing contract work. So after my stint at MetLife, I did contract work at Bloomberg. That was a 3-month thing, and then after that, I ended up at UPS. That was a 3-month thing, and then I ended up at New York City at a Japanese firm. That was actually a full-time position, but that was like under a year. Because then I got recruited to what my last job was, and that was like for another 2 years. I realized that if a future employer were to look at my resume, even though I may have done this and that within those previous positions, it's really the time the timeline within those positions.
Right.
And especially now knowing what I know now in regards to real estate and finding talent, hiring talent, everything like that. It's not just filling a position. Like you're really making an investment as a business owner to bring in this new talent with the hopes that they're going to be able to contribute at a high level and thus giving you a return on your investment. And I wanted to make sure I communicated that with whoever I was interviewing and to let them know, like, one, like I know what my resume looks like, but two, I understand where your concerns may be. Yet here's what had happened, and here's what I could really give you should I be hired. So that was definitely something I knew going into those interviews early on that I had to address right away. And the one I did at the interview I did in New York at that one in the book, that team leader particularly, like it was nice to know that he understood that I understood.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I didn't want to waste anyone's time because all that money, your greatest asset in any business is your people.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter like how big or small you are. Like if you don't invest in your people, then you're not going to get the end result of what your business is supposed to be. So I had to understand that so I could be fully prepared to take on any of those interviews that I talk about in the book.
Well, and I just, and again, a compliment. I just so appreciate your, the word is escaping me right now, but your years of experience, even though you're younger, and understanding how important that is, and that loyalty, it's just so important to a potential employer, and you were just all over it. And obviously we're going to talk in a little bit about the playground that you're in today and who you're in business with, because I'm sure that had an impact on that opportunity. So let me shift gears a little bit. So you're looking, why real estate? Like, why real estate, Asher? Like, real estate? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, real estate. It's crazy. I mean, I kind of wish I knew more of real estate when I was younger, but my wealthy dad, who I talk about a great bunch in the book, he got me into the real estate investing side. He, while I was working in New York, he was like, hey, look, if you could do like an hour of this a day, and you could really just understand it, you could really build something on the side and go from there. And when I started doing like just really straight up cold calls from Zillow listings and just like, hey, I'm an investor, I do owner financing, are you still looking to sell your home and all that? So that's what I was doing. And it took me 9 months to get my first rental property in the Poconos. And that was a really interesting experience because I got to cash flow a bit from it. I ended up kicking him out because he stopped paying rent after like 6 months. But it was a really great experience to just get into that. And I felt like with meeting homeowners and seeing homes and just like having that conversation, I felt like I was really myself. Outside of what I was doing for finance, I really felt like I could really be myself and yet still grow as a person and as a business professional through real estate. So that's where I was like, at some point down the road, whenever I'm done with finance, I want to get into real estate at an ops capacity because my background in operations I felt like was very valuable. So I wanted to merge the two, and life just happened, and here we are. So, but yeah, real estate is a great vehicle for me to just live my purpose in helping others succeed.
So I want to ask you a question, and I haven't prepared you for this, and that's always dangerous a little bit on a live stream. As I read the book, there was a time, Asher, where you didn't have a lot of money.
Yes.
In fact, I remember one point in the book where you talked about driving through a toll, and you were going to pay the toll fee because you didn't have the money to pay the toll, right?
Yeah, the toll. So we use Easy Pass up north, and I knew that there wasn't a lot of money so the interview, it was in New York, and I had to do the George Washington Bridge. It was like $15. If you're in the New York area, New Jersey area, that it's a really expensive toll. $15. I think at that time I had one time I do it twice. The first time there was like $10 on it, and then there was way less the second time. But I just took the risk and like, look, I'll get this violation if it means that I'm going to get an opportunity. And that's how much I wanted to be part of the Keller Williams brand, because in fact, it had all the values that matched who I was. And the fact that I was even called back for round 2, round 3, final round, like that meant something. So I just took that risk, and their violations are paid. But,
so here's where I wanted to go though. So you just talked about owning a rental property.
Yeah.
And so you go from where you were, and that was not all that long ago, right? I mean, a couple of years, right?
Yeah, that was 2018.
And
Yeah,
you have a rental property.
That I had that rental property. Yeah, very short stint, but yeah, I had.
Yeah, no, well, still, I think people have limiting beliefs around rental properties or investment properties, and they think about they need millions of dollars, and I wanted to come back to that because if I would have been taught what you're being taught right now when I was your age, things would look different. I mean, I started in real estate when I was very young, and yet at that time we weren't taught that. We were taught as a career to help people buy and sell homes. That was it. So I just wanted to come back to that because your generation has such an incredible opportunity to build wealth because there hasn't been a better time to do that. So I wanted to touch on that. So let's talk about the book. So you go to Bold, right? And talk to us about your experience in that program and how that helped launch you.
Yeah, Bold's been a huge blessing in my life. I honestly didn't even know what it was until my team leaders just decided to just be like, hey, we're going to put you in this thing. I think it'll help with your sales calls. And like, all right, cool.
Asher, we never actually told you because most people wouldn't show up if we actually told them what Bold was going to
do. That is true. So they did right on that. But yeah, I showed up and shout out to Coach Hudson Warren.
Yep.
I'm sure you know him.
I
down
do.
in Florida, great guy, a terrific coach that throughout that whole experience. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was going into, but I knew that I needed to get involved. I needed to just be vulnerable, and that's what a big thing about Bold was like you really had to be vulnerable about yourself. And we have all these goals and dreams, and everyone was in different levels of the business. And I was kind of like my group, I was with the mortgage guy, so our goals were slightly different, but everyone had something that he wanted to go after. And for you to really grasp the concepts in Bold and to really start seeing results in your life, you really had to just be vulnerable. Like when you're vulnerable, being vulnerable could be valuable in your life. And Bold pushes you to do that, to where, being uncomfortable, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I've seen so much within those first, within those 7 to 8 weeks, that right now I feel like I could really be like, I want this, and I could have a plan to get it, and then I'll get it. Yep. And it's just, it was definitely something. I know I've done UPW, I've done other events as well, but this one was very, very different, and it really pushed me to, who I am today, to be able to perform at a high level. So, yeah.
Well, and I love the fact, and of course, Bold has a special place in my heart. I love the fact that, that it impacted you the way that it did, because that was always the purpose and always the intention. And Hudson, your coach, great coach, is somebody who really was all in as part of a coach in that program. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you, I want to jump forward a little bit and say, okay, so now you get this opportunity, and you're working right now in the world of some of our greatest leaders inside of Keller Williams in Bo and Kimbericht, Manketti, and out in that area in I think DC, Maryland, and
Virginia.
So, tell me about, and just great people. They're doing some great things, not only real estate wise in the community and impacting lives. Tell me how did that happen? I kind of know how it happened, but what has that done for you?
Yeah, when I first met them, and when I was getting interviewed by the sales team, my team leaders, it was, I didn't realize how big that opportunity was at the time, which is getting interviewed. My team leader, he was a team leader on one of the other brokerages within here. But Jason, he's now my productivity coach. So I met him at NLP, and then he happened to be in the area. And when I was telling him I was interviewing here, he's like, hey, I'm gonna get you connected with these guys. I'm like, all right, cool. And everything kind of it was just natural. It was a merger going on between McKitty's and our sales team and their sales team, and they were looking for people to fill in these new roles, and I fit. But I didn't realize till a little after I started how much of an impact Bo and Kimber had on the DC metro area. Like
Yep.
it's incredible of the different projects going on. I didn't put it in the book because of the flow, but and within my first month, I went to we had a groundbreaking event in Anacostia, and they're like. It's pretty much a space for businesses and retail and everything like that. And that was a really cool thing. Like Mayor Bowser was there, so I got to meet the mayor my first month at DC. So that it was really cool to actually understand. Like you could read it on the website what they're doing, but when you actually experience and go to events like that, like you could really appreciate what they're doing. And they're still doing great things as of now. So but yeah, just kind of being connected with that and seeing what the KW model could do for people and how people actually use it. It's incredible to see in person. So I'm very blessed to be with them.
Yeah. Well, and the last thing, and then I want to transition here, is it was really cool. We talked before we started, you weren't married at the beginning of the book, you were married at the end of the book. And now a year later, it's coming up. You just had your year anniversary. So congratulations to you and your wife on that. And you get to live it in the book. For those of you that are going to buy the book and read the book, I would highly encourage you to do that. So let's shift gears a little bit as we're coming towards the end here. And I always ask my guests, Asher, I say, okay, tell me the best advice you've ever been given that hopefully you followed.
I think the best advice I've been given is actually on the back of the book is to be careful of the person you become in the pursuit of what you want. I share that, and I share that toward the end of our bold experience in class, and it was like throughout the whole book, you'll see it. Like I had to transform into someone in order to get X, Y, and Z, right? But with that, on any type of journey anyone's on, things tend to change around you. Your relationships tend to change. Your mindset on how you look at things tend to change. And you have to be very aware of those changes, and if they are good changes or if they're bad changes. And if they're bad changes, like, are they bad for good reasons or are they bad for bad reasons? So you're not going to be, shouldn't be the same person you are 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5, 10 years from now. Like, wherever you're at in your life, it took a different type of mindset, took a different type of being in you to really get to that point. So, then that's something my healthy dad shared with me in college. It still holds true today, and I've clearly lived that in the book. So, that's definitely one thing I would, one message I would push out to everyone.
Well, it's great advice. So I've prepared you for this. I always turn it upside down and I say, okay, what's the absolute worst advice that you've ever been given that hopefully you didn't follow? And if you did, what did you learn?
So bad advice, it was any type of advice regarding my relationship with my now wife, or like with anything with marriage. There's a lot of people that I've learned that really was saying, hey, you're too young to get married. I'm 27 now. But you're too young to get married, or you should give yourself time, this and that. And I'm like, if 2020 has taught us anything, it's like, why wait? If you have the ability to make something happen, why not just go after it? And why do the opinion of sheep stop you from being a lion you're meant to be? So and especially when it comes to marriage, or really with any type of relationship in business or anything like that, you definitely have to be aware of the dynamics they'll have with other relationships, and if those relationships are actually going to support it, or if they're going to try to deteriorate it. So if anything, I would just listen to people who are actually experienced, like actually married couples that actually know what they're like, what to expect or whatever. Or those saying I was too young or whatever, like they clearly don't know. And I am very happy with the decisions I made up to this point. So
well, Asher, here's the deal. I did a little math while you were talking about that. So my wife and I will be married 30 years in September. So if you need some marriage coaching, because I've been there, my friend. I've been there.
You go.
So you just call me because I did the math. I started 26 years ago, and I was in real estate, and so it's fun. And the other thing is it goes fast. Just so you know, it goes really fast. Really,
it was
fast.
A quick year. 1 year down, forever to go. So I can't wait for what's next for us.
Yeah, congratulations. And it's exciting, and I'm excited for you. You get lots of opportunity ahead of you. So I'm going to do a little housekeeping here, Asher, and I'm going to get you ready. I'm going to ask you for a final thought, something you would share with our listeners and our folks that are listening before we go. For all of you that are listening, first of all, I always say thank you so much. We're grateful. We do this because of you. It's just amazing that we get to have this opportunity in our world today with technology, and that we can connect with anyone, and you can connect at any time and listen. So for updates, please go to www.thesuccessascent.com. You can subscribe there. We'll send you updates. You can also, get us on any of the favorite podcast sources. In fact, we just now are on Amazon, has a new feature with podcasts, so that's pretty cool. And so you can find us anywhere. And we always appreciate when people share the message because I think we interview some great people, and today that is so true as well. So Asher, give us that final thought before we go. What would you share based upon your journey of success and the things that you've learned? What would you share with our listeners before we go?
Yeah, just to remember that everyone's born on purpose. I mean, we were all born in a hospital. Now, for me, and this we'll probably do it at another time. But I was born with open heart surgery. 2 days old, they had to cut me open and everything, and I almost didn't make it. But here I am, 27 years later, and I left that hospital. So I just want to encourage everyone: you left your hospitals for a reason. You're here. You're still here today, and you have a purpose to do what you're doing right now and to really live life and live boldly. So I encourage everyone to kind of just follow your dreams, whatever it is, go for it. Reach out to whatever help you need, and just know that you're more than enough. So you can definitely make it and just have an incredible life.
Well, Asher, that's great advice, right? There's always a reason for everything. And, one of the things we didn't touch on yet, I will, is obviously your belief in God and your belief in your spiritual, what your philosophy is, obviously has had an impact on you. And that just gets validated by what you shared. And so we appreciate that. I'm scrolling down at the bottom where folks can get a hold of you, pick up the book. It's AsherICARR.com. And so we'll have that in our show notes as well. The book is available tomorrow. How exciting.
Tomorrow.
Tell me what you're feeling right. Tell me what you're feeling right now with that happening.
It's incredible. The marketing phase, the pre-order phase was incredible. I just found out over the weekend we hit, I can't believe it. We hit over 100 copies have been ordered already. That 100 was the goal. So anything after that I'm satisfied. I think found out that a bulk of that is at Barnes & Noble back home in New Jersey. So I'll have a date to go out there and do signing. But yeah, I'm hoping to inspire as many people as possible with this story. And yeah, I'm very excited very grateful for all the support. So thank you.
I'm sending you this book back so I can get it signed, so that when you become rich and famous, and that you remember you were on this show. The Success Ascent launched your book journey.
Yes, I'll come out. And we'll take out this steakhouse, and I'll sign your book, and we'll go from there. So I appreciate it.
Well, Asher, you know what? Thank you so much again today. I know you shared a number of things that will inspire and motivate people. And, we're just so proud of you going through that program and doing what you did. And I know that the folks that you're in business with are also grateful to have you in their world. So thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. And let's go grab life big.
There you go. Well, as I end every show, everybody, be happy, be healthy, be safe. Thanks for listening. Have a great day. If you've not yet subscribed, please go to your favorite podcast source and subscribe to The Success Ascent, or simply go to www.thesuccessascent, and that's ASCENT.com, thesuccessascent.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. We look forward to catching you on the next ascent.